This is the Oukitel C38 Disassembly. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new video. Also, if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, we'll need to remove the SIM tray. Looking at the SIM tray, there are no rubber gaskets around the opening. Now heat needs to be applied to the backplate using either a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then a pry tool can be used to pry the backplate off. I prefer to use a hairdryer since there's less of a chance of damaging any of the components inside by overheating them. Here's a look at the plastic back cover. The camera lens cover can be replaced by applying heat and prying it off, so you won't need to take apart the phone to replace that. At this point, 20 Phillips screws need to be removed. Now a plastic pry tool needs to be placed in between the back housing and the frame of the screen and ran along the edges to pop off the catches. The back housing is also made of plastic. There are antenna flex cables around the borders of the back housing. The battery cable can now be disconnected. To pry off and remove the battery, there's a pull pouch provided to help you pry it off. Here's a better look at the 5150 mAh battery. There are 3 Phillips screws which are holding down the main board. So looking at the main board, we can see the 48 megapixel primary camera, as well as a 2 megapixel macro lens and a depth lens. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's also some copper tape on the shields to help transfer heat. Looking at the other side, we can see the 32 megapixel front facing camera, the proximity sensor, and additional copper tape on the back shields to help transfer heat. Once the copper tape has been peeled back, we can see thermal pads on top of the RAM and processor, as well as this chip. We also have a better look at the SIM and memory card reader. Here's a better look with the thermal pad removed. Here's a look at the speaker assembly, and there's a mesh filter over the speaker opening. There are 3 Phillips screws which are holding down the subboard. Looking at the subboard, we see the charger port located here, as well as the primary microphone. Here's a look at the other side. The vibrator motor is located on the bottom corner, which is held down with some adhesive. To replace that, just apply some heat and gently pry it off. The same goes for the volume and power button flex cable, and the earpiece speaker which is located on top. This flex cable connects the main board to the subboard, and this flex cable is for the screen. So if you needed to replace the screen, you'd have to remove the back plate, the screws in the back housing. You'd have to disconnect the flex cable for the screen as well as the battery from the main board, pry the battery off, giving you access to the flex cable for the screen, at which point you'd heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry the old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply the new screen, making sure you run the flex cable back to the opening in the mid-frame, and reassemble the phone. For the repairability score on this phone, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply the back cover. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.